Let's just say you're a very wealthy business person. I'm talking multi-millionaire or even billionaire. Either one is fine. I'm sure your life's been going great up to this point, but now you have a very major issue. You have way too much money. Now it's a wonderful problem to have, but there are some pesky issues that come with it. You have to pay millions of your hard-earned money in taxes, and the pesky little government keeps poking their nose into your business. And it gets even worse if you're in an industry that involves, thinking out of the box. Okay, fine, maybe it's illegal, but who cares what they think? They're trying to steal your money anyway. In the good old days, you could have just parked your money in a Swiss bank and boom, it belongs to nobody. But unfortunately, those days are over. So what do you do now? Well, I have just the thing for you. Great Britain has been kind enough, not really since they're getting paid a ton, but Great Britain has been kind enough to take up the new role and setting up their financial systems to be the perfect safe haven for anyone who can afford it. And luckily, they're not gonna ask any dumb questions. Welcome to Scripted. Please subscribe so we can grow the channel to 1,000 subscribers. And this is how Britain solves the world's money problems, whether dirty or clean. But I'm about to tell you two stories. One starting with $1 billion. Gone, stolen. In 2014, probably the biggest bank robbery in all time was conducted. And if you didn't hear about it, it's probably because it happened right here, in Moldova, an ex-Soviet Union country between Ukraine and Romania. And it's also Europe's poorest country, meaning that $1 billion here means a whole lot more than it already does. It's actually 12% of the entire country's GDP. And so a bank heist equivalent in the US would mean $2.5 trillion gone. But anyway, how did this happen? Three banks had been lending money to each other. Each loan taken out would be used to finance the next loan they would take out, only that the amount of money they were borrowing kept growing each time. And these three banks were controlled by one person, Elon Shore, a businessman and politician. And in November 2014, the money just didn't show up. In a report leaked by Moldovan head of parliament, it showed that the last known destination of the money was a UK registered shell company, right here in Scotland. The company was one of hundreds of a special type of company registered by just one family. These were Scottish Limited Partnerships, or SLP companies, an accidentally perfect vehicle for laundering money. Of course, they're also great for other things like legal stuff, but because one of their perks is that there is no legal requirement to register your identity when making these companies, they obviously happen to be the perfect vehicle for laundering money too. All of a sudden, all the money these companies controlled belongs to no one. Back in the day, if you were a criminal and you needed somewhere to stash your cash, you could just use a Swiss or Austrian account. And there it is. Your secret is now safe between you and your banker. But now these international money laundering rules are getting way more strict. But the UK provides a perfect alternative, an anonymous SLP. And to top it all off, it's cheaper. Rather than the several thousands that a Swiss bank account will cost you, an SLP complete with new accounts would only run you back a couple hundred.
Obviously what I'm covering here is public knowledge, and you would think that people would want to do something about it. Well, people have tried, but the British politicians are notorious for not wanting to do anything about them. And the reasons why are also very obvious. The financial services industry, the world's money managers, had been using SLPs way before criminals even thought about it. SLPs have provided for years a route towards low taxes, no scrutiny, and no transparency. Wealthy people, whether their money is clean or dirty, want all of those things. And so people with more than enough money have devoted resources to making sure politicians keep these laws in place. SLPs have been around since 1907, but something even better was introduced in 2017. Private Fund Limited Partnership, which for the right or maybe the wrong person is even better than an SLP. Because if the owners choose to invest capital into a PFLP, you don't have to register capital contributions at all.
There is a simple defense for this on paper. The more money that comes in means the more money for the government. And even if they don't tax the companies, they can still tax the people at the end of it. And many countries know this. If you don't welcome the people, someone else will. You have to stay competitive. So now let me tell you the second story. One that involves a very different method of hiding transactions and even more money. Let's take a trip to West Africa, Guinea specifically.
Home to a range of hills, a place called Simandou. This place is absolutely stocked with iron ore reserves, a resource that could provide a lot of wealth to the country, and not just them, but foreign companies too. With a valuable resource and billion-dollar corporations interested in mining rights, unfortunately, a huge opportunity for corruption was born.
And Israeli billionaire investor Benny Steinmetz was absolutely ready to take advantage of that.
Benny got rich off mining, real estate, and energy sectors, and going into countries with resources for mining was his forte. And through his company, Benny Steinmetz Group Resources, BSGR, he was able to operate in more than 25 countries, and Guinea was one of them. Back in 2008, BSGR was given mining rights in the Simandou mines.
How they got those rights, however, was the sketchy part: bribery.
Mamadi Touré, prominent politician and the wife of the former president of Guinea. She had been paid about $10 million as a bribe so BSGR could get the license. And it wasn't just her, it was a bunch of others. It was a whole thing called the Corruption Pact. But if you look at how those $10 million were paid, it passed through a web of offshore companies and foreign bank accounts. You know, the usual: Bahamas, Switzerland, and even the US.
This scheme in particular took advantage of shell companies in the British Virgin Islands, or BVI, which is a British territory located all the way in North America.
If you take a look at one of the companies used, you will find that Mamadi Touré was granted power of attorney over these companies, which isn't direct ownership. It's basically a document that lets you act in place of another person in business, basically giving her control over these companies. And so the way they made the bribe seem legal was by putting these shell companies in the contracts as a partner, making it easy to channel funds to Touré.
Now here's the thing about the BVI. What they say is that they facilitate investments, allowing companies to make transactions and investments through a reliable institution backed by the British flag. Being virtually tax-free attracts anyone with money, whether dirty or clean.
Some clients happen to be avoiding taxes, and others just want to make sure that corruption, money laundering, and drug smuggling remains a secret to law enforcement. Either way, the island is here to help, with cheap and discreet asset protection available to anyone from North Korean arms smugglers to South American drug cartels. Of course, people that want to hide assets and dodge taxes will look for these services wherever they're available, even if the BVI didn't exist.
So the island's defense is simple: if they don't do it, someone else will.
If you like this video, you're probably going to enjoy this one here. Welcome again to Scripted, and please subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers. Drop a comment as well. Let us know what you think about the video, and thanks for watching.